Africa, say it louder. Say it shara. Salam alaikum. 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 Assalamu alaikum.
United we stand, divided we fall. All we need is freedom. All we need is love. Free Africans free. Free Africans free.
Be free from slavery. Free from slavery. Free yourself from mental slavery. Free yourself from mental slavery. Free yourself from mental slavery. Free from slavery. Free from slavery. Yeah.
We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war. We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war. We're here to speak the word. We're here to stop the war.
Salam alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Salam alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Salam alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Salam alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever you tune in. As we promised you from last week, that actually we are going to continue discussing the Revitalized agreement and continuing making evaluation what it has been implemented and what is not yet being implemented. So tonight we will continue in part 2 with my guest, Ustaz Abdullah Garandenkir, and also Ustaz Moses Edward. Both of them are member of United Citizens for Change. We are doing this magnificent thing tonight. So please, I want you to go ahead and share our live video here on Facebook and on YouTube and also in Clubhouse. So now Clubhouse is on, and just go ahead and share that, and we'll continue with this. Tonight, we are going to start with chapter 3. As you recall, last week, we started chapter 1 and chapter 2. We'll finish it up, but today we will be able to do chapter 3 and chapter 4. Chapter 3 also, of course, Ustaz Abdullah Garang is going to continue, to explain more about what has been implemented and what has not been implemented. And also, Ustaz Moses Edward will focus on chapter 4, which has something to do with financial aspect and economic within Revitalized peace agreement. With that, I would like to start, and I will go ahead and bring my guests here on the studio. And also, I want to remind you, just let me remind you about the topic that we are discussing, as I said from the beginning, evaluating the implementation of the Revitalized peace agreement on the resolution conflict in the Republic of South Sudan. This is the part 2. And also, I have to throw in there, we will be discussing, I'll be asking my comrades, my colleagues in this program, no deal between our positions and the government in Rome. I know many people, they have been discussing this in clubhouses last night, but tonight we'll get in the bottom of it, and I will ask my dear brothers and sisters here to answer this question, no deal in Rome. But first, let me go ahead to these two gentlemen for them to introduce themselves, and then I will start with Ustaz Abdullah Garang, then continuing with explaining the chapter 3 of Revitalized Peace Agreement. But for now, I want to give you 1 minute, Ustaz Abdullah Garang, to introduce yourself to our audience, and then also Ustaz Moses to introduce himself, and then the floor or the podium will be left for you أستاذ عبد الله قرن. نرحب بمشاهدينا الكرام مجددا كما عودناكم في كنسان سيدنا نفسه السودان. اليوم نحن مستمرين في عملية Revitalized Peace Agreement with these two gentlemen. أستاذ عبد الله قرن, please go ahead and greet audience before we move on.
اهلا وسهلا استاذ جنكو، سامعني؟
واضح جدا جدا.
شكرا جزيلا. انا بشكرك الاستاذ جنكو مايو في سيديو كونسيل سيزون اوف السودان. ده انا عبد الله قرن كيردين، نحييكم من سيارة كما عودناكم كل يوم سبت بموضوع جديد. شكرا جزيلا.
شكرا، اشكرك كل الشكر استاذ عبد الله قرن. استاذ موسى Edward, you may give our audience 1 minute greeting and then we proceed with Ustaz Abdullah Garang. تفضل.
Ustaz John Kormayol, do you hear my voice clearly?
Very well.
Thank you so much, Comrade John Kormayol and Comrade Abdullah Garankir, and I greet you, my fellow South Sudanese. We appreciate your time. Always when you come and tune in Concerned Citizen of South Sudan, we are doing this for you and for our beloved country, South Sudan. We all love South Sudan, but you don't just love the country without fulfilling your duty as a citizen, and this is one of our duty. We want to fight for freedom in the Republic of South Sudan, so all South Sudanese would be free and enjoy all the principles that has been said in the Comprehensive Peace Agreement in 2005 and in this Revitalized Peace Agreement. All these years, South Sudanese people, the ordinary citizens, have been promised, but nothing is. So we are going to go through Revitalized Peace Agreement and to evaluate it, and we will give you more details. I greet you all and I thank you for your time. Please share this so other people around the world and back home in South Sudan can watch this humble forum of concerned citizen of South Sudan. Thank you.
Indeed, Ustaz Moses, thank you so much. أشكرك كل الشكر لتقديمك تحايانا للمشاهدين الكرام هنا في فيسبوك وأولسو أيضا في يوتيوب وفي كلاب هاوس. الآن ننتقل إلى حوارنا حول قضية السلام المنشطة التي وقعت في سبتمبر 12 2018 في الخرطوم، والذي من خلالها كان مفترض أن يحصل استقرار تام في البلد، ولكن للأسف ما زال هنالك كرايسيس، ما زال هنالك قضايا مشاكل كبيرة في البلد بما فيها قضية الدستور وقضية اللاجئين وقضية الاقتصاد في دولة السودان الجنوبي. أستاذ عبد الله قرن، يسرني في هذه اللحظة أن مثلا welcome you or أرحب بك في البرنامج Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. وأعتقد لدينا الاتفاقية السلام المنشطة في 2018 بلغتي العربية والإنجليزية، فأنا عايز أديك المجال عشان ندخل في ده. هو الآن إحنا في الجزء الثالث اليوم، وهذه جزئية مهمة جدا جدا جدا، هو يتحدث عن المساعدات الإنسانية وإعادة الإعمار في الدولة السودانية، إعمار في البسيط التي بنيناها ودمرتها الحرب التي أشعلت في 2013. أستاذ عبد الله قرن، تفضل مشكور.
شكرا الأخ جنكو مايو للمرة الثانية. مشاهدي كونسيرن سيتيزن اوف ساوث السودان، طبعا في الحلقة اللي فاتت بتاعت يوم السبت نحن تحدثنا عن التفاصيل أو التقييم لاتفاقية السلام الموقع في 2018.
نعم.
والهدف من الكلام ده إنه المواطن يعرف ماذا تم تنفيذه وما لم يتم تنفيذه، ومدى جدية الحكومة بتاعت جنوب السودان لتنفيذ اتفاقية السلام اطمئنان المواطن إنه المستقبل حيكون أفضل من ما كان عليه في 2013 و 2016. لكن للأسف الشديد نحن في قبل 3 أسابيع يعني شفنا peace violation من اتجاه الحكومة مرة ومرات، والمواطنون تخوفوا بأن يعود تلك الأيام في 2013 و 2016 يرجع تاني والناس تشاكل والناس تنزح، والفضل من ال8 مليون مواطن جنوبي في الداخل أو 7 مليون ونص كمان ينزح منهم 2 مليون ولا 3 مليون. فكان في تخوف شديد. عشان كده United Citizens for Change عبر منصتنا الإعلامية United Citizens for Change هي منصة إعلامية لUCC. نحن قررنا إنه نحن نعمل حلقات يعني متتالية عشان نقدر نفسر ونشرح للناس اتفاقية 2018. في يوم السبت اللي فاتت الأخ دينجي وهو الرئيس بتاع UCC تحدث في البند الأول والثاني، والليل نحن حنتحدث عن البند الثالث والبند الرابع، ما تم تنفيذه وما لم يتم تنفيذه. البند الثالث في الاتفاقية بتاعت السلام الموقعة في 2018 هي المساعدات الإنسانية وإعادة الإعمار. ده البند. طيب ما النص بتاعت المكتوب في الاتفاقية في الموقع بتاعت الإيجاد باللغة العربية المترجم ما كتير، فأنا أقرأها لكم بسرعة كده بعد ذلك نخش في التفاصيل.
نعم. تفضل أستاذ عبد الله.
الفصل الثالث المساعدات الإنسانية وإعادة الإعمار. المبادئ المتفق عليها بشأن المساعدات الإنسانية وإعادة الإعمار 1/1/3 يجب على الأطراف خلال الفترة قبل
3/1/1
يعني 3/1/1 يجب على الأطراف خلال الفترة قبل الانتقالية وطوال مدة الانتقال أن توفر بيئة سياسية وإدارية وتشغيلية وقانونية مواتية لتقديم المساعدات والحماية الإنسانية. يجب على الأطراف المتحاربة بالإضافة إلى التزاماتها بشأن وقف إطلاق النار الدائم الموصوف في الفصل الثاني أن تضمن الآتي: 3/1/1 إمكانية وصول آمنة إلى السكان المدنيين والمحتاجين للمساعدات والحماية الإنسانية العاجلة بما يشمل تأسيس ممرات عون إنساني آمن. 3/1/2 حق اللاجئين والنازحين في العودة بالسلام وتوفير الحماية الجسدية والقانونية والنفسية لهم. 3/1/3 احترام حقوق العائدين تبعا لميثاق الحقوق كما هو منصوص عليه في الدستور الانتقالي لجمهورية جنوب السودان وتعديلاته، شريطها أن يتم بذل الجهود للمساعدات في إعادة التوحيد الأسر التي انفصلت عن بعضها خلال الصراع. 3/1/4 حق اللاجئين والنازحين في المواطنة وتأسيس آليات للتسجيل والتعريف الملائم وتوثيق السكان المتضررين بما يشمل أطفالهم وأزواجهم وممتلكاتهم وأراضيهم ومقتنياتهم الأخرى التي قد تكون فقدت خلال الصراع. 3/1/2 يجب على الحكومة الوحدة الوطنية الانتقالية المنشطة في جنوب السودان أن تقوم بالآتي: أن تضع فورا برنامجا للإغاثة والحماية والعودة إلى الوطن، أي العودة الطبيعية، وإعادة التوطين والدمج والتأهيل للنازحين والعائدين بالتنسيق مع الأمم المتحدة ووكالات الإغاثة والأمل الإنساني الأخرى. إعطاء اعتبار خاص للأشخاص المتأثرين بالصراع، الأطفال واليتامى والنساء والأرامل وجرحى الحرب وغيرهم، في توفير الخدمات العامة بما يشمل الحصول على خدمات الصحية والتعليم ومنح المجتمعات المضيفة نفس الميزة والحماية والخدمات الإنسانية. 3/1/2/3 قبل الأخير إجراءات مؤسسات المسار السريع للاسترداد والتخلص الجمركي للمواد الإغاثة، أي إنه يتم مواد الإغاثة داخل جنوب السودان من الضرائب. أظن ده البنود الأساسية في الفصل المساعدات الإنسانية والإعمار.
نعم.
لكن نحن لو مشينا في هذا الفصل بالتفاصيل، ولو في مواطن قاعد يسمع الآن ماذا تم تنفيذه حتى الآن من الحاجات اللي أنا قريتها؟ هل تم إعادة النازحين الموجودين في الدول الجوار؟ هل النازحين اللي كانوا في الداخل خرجوا من معسكرات الأمم المتحدة؟ للأسف الشديد هذا البند لم ينفذ فيها شيء. الحكومة جنوب السودان لم يلتزم بهذه الاتفاقية ولم يقوم بترحيل المواطنين الجنوبيين العالقين في الدول الجوار، في السودان، في إثيوبيا، في كينيا، في يوغندا. حتى المواطنين الجنوبيين النازحين داخليا والبالغ عددهم 1.7 يعني 1,700,000 مواطن جنوبي سوداني نازحين داخل أراضيهم، والعدد ده الآن تضاعفت. لم يتم أي مساعدات لهم ولم يتم إعادتهم لقراهم في ملكال، في جنجلي، في واو، مناطق متعددة، خصوصا في الحدود بتاعت السودان مع أعالي النيل. لم يتم تنفيذ أي واحد من هذه البنود، عشان الناس اللي بيتكلموا إنه الاتفاقية ماشي كويس يعرفوا الكلام ده. ولو في زول يعني يوم واحد شاف في عودة طبيعية أو إعادة إعمار لسكان النازحين الجنوبيين تم ترحيلهم، سواء كان عن طريق البحر، عن طريق النهر، أو عن طريق البر، بعدين يجي يورينا. المواطنين المفروض يتم مساعدتهم على الأقل في 2018 كان حوالي 2 مليون مواطن في ذاك الزمن لما تم توقيع اتفاقية السلام. 2 مليون مواطن. لكن للأسف الشديد هذا العدد تضاعف، عكس بدل يكون في عودة طوعية أو إعادة الإعمار للمواطنين من دول الجوار. للأسف الشديد المواطن هاجر، مزيد من الهجرة، حتى وصلت يعني في تقرير أنا قريته للأمم المتحدة في ديسمبر 2021 إنه عدد الجنوبيين النازحين يعني في دول الجوار الآن وصلت 2.3 مليون مواطن، فعددهم زاد. بعد ذلك المواطنين النازحين في الداخل، النازحين داخليا عددهم 1.7 مليون. إذن الآن بسبب هذه الصراعات في 2013 لحد 2016 المواطنين النازحين فقط 4 مليون مواطن displaced بدون أي مساعدات للحكومة. حتى يعني الأمم المتحدة يعني نادت كم مرة إنه المواطنين في جنوب السودان داير مزيد من المساعدات، لكن للأسف الشديد يعني المتبرعين يعني دائما بيتأخروا، كما أشاروا إليه ناس الأمم المتحدة إنه في تأخير في الدعم للمواطنين في جنوب السودان. عشان كده ما قاعدين يخطوا العدد الكم الهائل من المواطنين النازحين. بالإضافة إلى ذلك إنه في ال3 سنين الأخيرة جنوب السودان تأثر تأثير يعني مباشر بموضوع تغيير المناخ. فهذا التغيير المناخ أدت إلى يعني حدوث هطول أمطار غزيرة في شمال بحر غزال، في مناطق على النيل، يعني أدى إلى هطول أمطار غزيرة. فكان في فيضانات، فهذه الفيضانات تأثر بها 8 ولايات، وعدد يعني تقدر حسب إحصاءات الأمم المتحدة انه في 800,000 مواطن جنوبي تاثرت بالفيضانات وحصول الامطار في 3 سنين الاخيره من 2021 لحد 2023. فدي كلها كوارث انسانيه. لكن للاسف الشديد الحكومه جنوب السودان ما عندها برنامج انه يعني يعمل اغاثه للناس. يس نحن سمعنا انه حكومه جنوب السودان باع يعني عدد مقدر من الذره من السودان في 2022 لكن لم نشاهد يعني وما في تفاصيل يعني كم من الشوالات مثلا تم شراؤها وكيف تم توزيعها، لانه المواطنين بجد في مجاعه الان في مناطق شمال بارخزا، في عالي النيل، في يعني وضع انساني سيء جدا، نقول سيء جدا. فالشاهد في الكلام ده انه الحكومه جنوب السودان الكلام المكتوب على الورق لم يتم اي تنفيذ من هذه الحاجه المتفق عليها في 2018. وده الدليل يؤشر ويشير انه حكومه جنوب السودان الان الموجود انها غير قادره انها تاوي المواطن ذا جنوب السودان او توفر لهم الامن والحمايه. الحكومه دي ما قاعده. وانا قبل يومين سمعت الرئيس الفكير ميادي بيتكلم عن الانتخابات في ولايه شمال بارغزال، ويقول انه الاحزاب السياسيه عليها ان تقدم مرشحين للخوض للانتخابات. فانت كيف تنزل انتخابات وانت ما حليت المشكله الانسانيه في دولتك؟ القروش بتاعت الانتخابات دي انت هتجيب من وين اذا كان انت ما قادر يعني توفر للمواطن الجنوبي اللي هو صوت للانفصال عشان هو يكون عنده وضع اجتماعي افضل، توفر له الامن، توفر له الطمأنينة، توفر له ابسط الاشياء هي الاكل والدواء. فدي كلها ما موجود يعني للاسف الشديد، الحياه دي كلها ما موجود. فكيف تتكلم عن الانتخابات؟ كيف الحكومه تتكلم عن الانتخابات؟ دي مجملا دي الفشل يعني الواضح لحكومه جنوب السودان، انها حكومه فشلت، ما قدرت يعني تلتزم او تنفذ حتى 10% من البند الثالث في اتفاقية السلام الموقع في 2018. فبدلا من ترحيل 2 مليون جنوبي سوداني من دول الجوار، الآن العدد تضاعف وأصبحت 2.3 مليون. والمواطنين القاعدين في الكامب يعني حالتهم سيئة جدا. وأنا كان رسلت لك الأخ جنكور فيديو واحد من التقارير يعني بتاعت المنظمات بتاعت الأمم المتحدة الشغالة في جنوب السودان، حاجة مأساوي جدا يعني يفوق التخيل بتاع الإنسان لما تمشي تقرأ التقارير عن جنوب السودان، يعني حاجة سيئة جدا. فالحاجة الثالثة للأسف الشديد أنا يعني تفاجأت إنه النازحين الجنوبيين من مجمل النازحين في العالم كله البالغ عددهم يعني 98 يعني 98 مليون، جنوب السودان فقط عنده 9% من هذا الكم من العدد، 9%. ده الدليل يؤشر انه الحكومه بتاعنا في جنوب السودان هي غير قادره. وجنوب السودان برضو احتل المرتبه نمره 5 في العالم من عدديه النزوح، سواء كان سوريا هي الدوله الاولى، افغانستان، فنزويلا، South Sudan is number 4.
Wow.
South Sudan number 4 as a resource country of refugees. South Sudan is number 4. طيب بهذه الارقام نقول شنو مثلا انه جنوب السودان نفذ من الاتفاقيه؟ ما في تنفيذ، ما في اي بروجريسيف في هذه الاتفاقيه. عشان كده United Citizens for Change يعني هنا عشان نوريكم يعني المشكله هو شنو؟ فانا هنا عندي الاحصاءات بتاعت major source countries of refugees in the world. مثلا سوريا عدد النزحوا او عدد النازحين من دوله سوريا للدول الاخرى 6.8 مليون. فنزويلا 4.6 مليون refugees. Afghanistan 2.7 million refugees. South Sudan 2.4 million refugees. يعني في الدول اللي عندها عدد كبير من النازحين في العالم كله نحن نمرة 4.
not only نمرة 4 ربما نكون نمرة 1. ليه؟ لانه based on population عندنا، لان دي دول انت ذكرتها فنزويلا افغانستان دي دول فيها كثافه سكانيه عاليه جدا جدا، ولكن جنوب السودان يعني 12 مليون وينزح منه 3 ولا 4 مليون، ده كارثه، ده almost نص البلد نزحت كنتيجه بتاع السياسات السالبه والسياسات السيئه في البلد. اتفضل استاذ عبد الله.
2.4 مليون يعني 2 مليون و400 الف مواطن ديل نازحين في الخارج.
يا استاذ عبد الله انا ما دركت حديث بتاعك، يعني ده تقريبا 2 دول في دول الخليج ديل.
ايوه
في دول او دوله في دول الخليج ديل، ناس قطر وناس اميريتس.
ده بالاضافه الى ذلك المواطنين النازحين من الداخل 1.7 مليون ديل مواطنين نازحين من الداخل في المخيمات اللي عندنا في جنوب السودان، في او الديسبليس او المخيمات الداخليه عندنا في مطار جوبا ده في ولايه سنترال اكواتوريا، في ملكال، عندنا في بور، عندنا في بنتيو. ديل نازحين داخلين مواطنين جنوبيين، والحكومه الان بتتكلم عن الانتخابات. ما تم تنفيذه من هذه الاتفاقيه الموقعه في 2018 فقط هي تقسيم السلطه. تقسيم السلطه فقط. فبالنسبه للاتفاقيات التي عقدت في السودان منذ يعني الاستقلال، هذه الاتفاقيه قد يكون اسوء الاتفاقيه مقارنه باتفاقيه 2005. يعني في اتفاقيه 2005 بند الترتيبات الامنيه تم تنفيذه، فاينانشال مانجمنت تم تنفيذه، بنود كثيره تم تنفيذه ما عدا بروتوكول بتاع دبي، مقارنه باتفاقيه 2005 وهذه الاتفاقيه بنجد انه اتفاقيه 2005 دي اسوء اتفاقيه مره على الاطلاق، خصوصا من الناحيه الانسانيه. فيه مأساة جدا للمواطن الجنوبي السوداني. والان الرئيس يتكلم عن الانتخابات، يعني همه كله انه كيف انه يعني يتم انتخابه باي طريق باي مين نسيسري يستمر في السلطه. لكن للاسف الشديد مشاهدي كونسنسس ساوث السودان، جنوب السودان يعني الوضع الانساني فيها مهرج للغايه، وحكومتنا فشلت، ونحن ما عندنا اي حكومه يعني يقدر يستطيع يوفر الحمايه للمواطن. البند الثاني في الاتفاقيه هي اعاده الاعمار.
قبل ما تمشي للبند الثاني يا استاذ عبد الله قرن، يعني البند هو 3.1.1 اللي هو يجب على اطراف الحكومه من خلال فتره الانتقاليه وطوال المده الانتقاليه ان توفر بيئه سياسيه واداره وتشغيل قانونيه مواتيه لتقديم المساعدات والحمايه الانسانيه. يجب على المتهاربه بالاضافه الى التزاماتها بشان وقف اطلاق النار الدائم، ما في اطلاق النار طبعا، ما في تقديم المساعدات، اوكي، ده كله ما فيش ولا امكانيات وصول عامل للسكان المدنيين المحتاجين للمساعدات. حاجه اللي انا بسال على الاستاذ عبد الله قرن، ما دام البلد لسه فيها يعني وضع متازم في ولايات عامله زي شمال بحر غزال، الحكومه ما قادره تقدم مساعدات لهم، لماذا؟ يعني مثلا انه ما عدم انه ما حسوا الامم المتحده انه على الاقل يقدم مساعدات انسانيه مثل يعني مثلا العون في مجال التغذيه. ليه الحكومه دائما ما داير يعمل الكلام ده والناس جعانه وتعبانه برغم ان الحكومه غير قادره؟ يعني الهدف شنو؟ تفضل.
ده سؤال مهم جدا. للاسف الشديد يعني انا قبل ذكرته انه حصل في تغيير بتاع مناخ. انا من شمال بحر غزال، الولايه اللي قاعد تتكلم عنه، انا من شمال بحر غزال، انا من مجانبع. في مجانبع يعني لاكثر من 50 سنه ما جاتنا يعني فيضانات زي دي. يعني احنا في مجاك يعني بيتنا المحل اللي اتولدت فيه في اسفل، يعني جنب المجاك. مجاك ده عباره عن يعني رافد صغير بيصب في نهر الأرض. نحن في الاسفل. بعدين حبوبتي امي بيتها في اعلى شويه، في حته بقول لها ويلير. فانا استغربت جدا انه حتى المناطق بتاعت الاسره بتاعت حبوبتي غرقت تماما، والناس نزحت يعني من هذه المناطق، نزحت كومبليتلي. يعني المنطقه كانت فاضيه. للاسف الشديد الحصل في شمال بحر غزال هي كارثه انسانيه. لكن المشكله حتى الناس الامم المتحده ذاته هم نتكلم في الجانب ده، انه الاعلام ما كانت كافيه للتغطيه، ما فيها تغطيه اعلاميه، عشان كده المساعدات تاخرت. والحكومه في جنوب السودان ما دايره يعني تصهر هذه المأساة في ولايه شمال بحر غزال عشان ما تصهر الفشل بتاع الحكومه. عشان كده اخفقت الجانب الاعلامي، وفقط قاعد ينظر لهم بس انه المواطنين ديل يعني كانه ما مواطنين من الدوله. فالحصل في ولايه شمال بحر غزال هي كارثه انسانيه، لكن الاعلام على المستوى العالمي والمحلي لم يعكس المشكله الكبيره اللي حصلت في ولايه شمال بحر غزال. في اراضي كثيره تم خمرها بالمياه، فبقى ما في انتاج. يعني المواطن كان عايش كل سنه على الوقود السنوي اللي بيزرعه بيده، فالزراعه كلها تم غمرها بالمياه. اذا ما في انتاج مثلا للعمل القادم، عشان كده بيكون في مجاعه. هم عملوا شنو؟ عدد كبير منه نزحوا الى السودان، نزحوا لولايه شرق دارفور وجنوب دارفور وهكذا. لكن الحكومه المساعدات اللي قدمتها الحكومه ضئيله جدا. وانا ما داير نذكر هنا لما الجبنه بتاع شمال بحر غزال تماكن لما مشى للمحلات بتاعت الفيضانات، الرقم اللي هو يتبرع به كشخصي يعني حاجه مخجله جدا. لكن الحكومه بتاعت في جهد من ابناء المنطقه في الخارج، لكن دي ما بكفي. فحصلت في ولايه شمال بحر غزال هي غياب الاعلام، عدم التزاميه الحكومه او عدم قيام الحكومه بواجباتها تجاه المواطن. عشان كده في فجوه غذائيه او في مجاعه في ولايه شمال بحر غزال. ولايه شمال بحر غزال يعني حتى الان قد تكون الولايه الاولى في عدد التعداد السكاني على مستوى يعني جنوب السودان. عدد كبير جدا من المواطنين في ولايه شمال بحر غزال. فقط منطقه في اتجاه بتاع كون، يعني في منطقه صغيره جدا فيهم مليون مواطن ساكنين في اريا، يعني حاجه عدد ما تتخيلوا يعني. لكن هل يعني بعد ما الاراضي تم خمرها بالمياه والانتاج الزراعي المحلي قلت، الحكومه جابت شنو مثلا؟ عملت عجز شنو؟ ما شفنا اي مساعدات من الحكومه. ودي واحده برضو من الاشياء. يعني المواطن لازم يحمل الحكومه، ما يقول يا اخي الفيضانات ده من ربنا. يس كل حاجه من ربنا، لكن الحكومه عنده دور.
نعم.
انت اذا كان ما بتحمي المواطن من التهديدات الداخليه من التهديدات الخارجيه، اذا انت مع حكومه. عشان كده نحن دائما نقرر بانه حكومه بتاعت سلفا كير ميادي هي فشلت. فمفروض لو في وعي شعبي الحكومه دي ما تكون موجوده حتى الان. عشان كده نحن دائما بنتكلم عن الانتفاضه الشعبيه كحل افضل. ونحن لسه في يونايتد سيتيز فور تشينج لسه متمسكين بهذا البند انه يكون في انتفاضه شعبيه عشان يكون في تغيير. اذا المواطن ما يتحرك ما حيكون في تغيير في جنوب السودان. بالرغم انه نحن بننتج بترول، لكن للاسف الشديد أعداد بتاعت البترول يعني يتم تقسيمها فوق في المكاتب الرئاسية فقط. يعني في ثراء فاحش في جنوب السودان. القروش دي جايه من وين؟ دي قروش بتاعت البترول. لانه القروش بتاعت البترول ما بيتم صرفها للمواطنين في المساعدات الانسانيه زي ما ذكرت في للكارثه اللي حصلت في شمال بارغزال. ما بيتم صرفها كمرتبات للعاملين بالدوله، لانه لما تصرف للعاملين بالدوله هو هيمشي السوق بالدوري يشتري الذره، يعني حيشيل القروش ده، وانت بتشيل القروش بتاعت الذره ده بتجيبوا الدواء، يعني بيكون في تداول، بيكون في تداول للعمله. لكن في الان في ركود لانه القروش بتجي الدولار، والدولار يعني حكومه فقط هم اللي ماسكين القروش دي، يعني بيرسلوا لاولادهم في الخارج حكومه كلها او الوزراء. يعني لو ما بالغت ممكن اقول 75% او 80% عيالهم قاعدين برا، ما قاعدين في جنوب السودان. عشان كده يعني الوضع تدهور والحكومه ما بهمه. اذا انا وزير ومرتي ما بلدي في مستشفى الجبل، so why I'm care انه مستشفى الجبل يكون فيه كهرباء ولا ما يكون فيه كهرباء؟ اذا انا وزير وولدي ما بيمشي المدارس في اول، ليه انا why I'm care؟ ليه انا ليه؟ لانه اولادهم قاعدين برا، لكن اولاد المواطنين داخل جنوب السودان بيمشوا بمدارس تعبانين، ما في اكل، حتى ابسط الاشياء زي الحمامات ما موجوده في المدارس. حمامات ما موجوده في المدارس للاسف شديد يعني. ولسه في ناس بيقولوا انه الحكومه دي كويس وكير. انا بقول للمواطن لازم توعى، والحق لازم تقبله بيدك، انت ما بتحرسه. فالحصل في ولايه شمال بارغزال هي كارثه انسانيه. غياب الاعلام وغياب دور الحكومه هي الفقمت الموضوع واصبحت هنالك مجاعه. لو ما في عندك سؤال ثاني في المجال دي في البند الثالث؟
لا، انت قمت غطيت كل ما يدرو. المفروض كان يكون في توفير الامن. الحكومه ما وفرت الامن، وجب توفير الامن ما وفرت الامن، ودي اجال المفروض تتنفس. ناس تطلع من اليونميس، ناس ما قدرت تطلع لانه ما في حمايه، ما في اماكن هم يستروا فيه، ما يعني لجوء دول الجوار المفروض يرجعوا بلد ما رجعوا. اذا البند دي يعني عن بلد ثالث الذكرى بها لم يتم تنفيذها على الاطلاق. انا خليك تواصل استاذ عبد الله ونمشي قدام ان شاء الله. تفضل.
يس، ده طبعا يعني ده كلام لازم نحن نقوله بكل تفاصيله عشان المواطن في جنوب السودان يعني يكون واعي. الناس اللي بيسمعونا بالذات الناس بتاع الحكومه لازم يسمعوا الحاصل شنو اكزاكتلي، لانه نحن هنا من اجل انه يكون في تحسين وضع افضل لبلدنا جنوب السودان. ده الهدف، ما ان الهدف غير ده يعني. فمجملا يعني انا بقول حسب انا بعيد القراءات بتاعت الامم المتحده انه في جنوب السودان الناس المحتاجين للمساعدات، مساعدات انسانيه من اكل وغذاء 8.3 مليون مواطن جنوبي. اسمعوا الكلام ده كويس، 8 مليون و300 ألف مواطن في جنوب السودان محتاج لمساعدات الآن. اثنين عندنا عدد النازحين الآن في جنوب السودان is 2.3 مليون. 2 مليون و300 ألف مواطن جنوبي نازح في الدول بتاعت الجوار. داخليا في معسكرات بتاعت النازحين الجنوبيين النازحين في دولتهم. انا ما سمعت قبل يعني بيفور انه مواطن في دولته بيكون نازح. المواطنين النازحين داخليا في مطار جوبا، في ملكال، في بور، في بنتيو عددهم 1.7 مليون. تخيل انت في دولتك وانت نازح، تخيل انت في دولتك وانت بتعاني، تخيل انه 12 مليون 8 مليون محتاجين مساعدات. طيب واين دور الحكومه؟ صفر كبير. البند الثاني في في الاتفاق في الجانب بتاعت في الفصل الثالث البند الثاني هي إعادة الإعمار، لكن فقط إعادة الإعمار. طيب ماذا تم التنفيذ في إعادة الإعمار في هذه الاتفاقية؟ أنا بقرأ بس حاجة بسيط، أنا لأنه
تفضل.
ما تم تنفيذه في هذا الجانب بيج زيرو، صفر كبير، ما في أي حاجة تم تنفيذه. لكن أنا بقرأ لكم حاجة بسيط من الحاجة المشار في الاتفاقية.
نعم.
فقط يعني كلام إنشائي مكتوب، لكن
أستاذ
لم يتم تنفيذ أي شيء من إعادة الإعمار.
أستاذ عبد الله قرن، قبل ما تقرأ أنا داير أقول حاجة بسيط. ممكن نرجعكم في الرود ماب.
اتفضل أستاذ موسى.
Yeah. In the roadmap, I just want to support the evaluation and of chapter 3. In the roadmap, the extended roadmap for 24 months, which is if you go to page 5, this is what they have said about chapter 3. They have confessed that they have not even implemented. So, Ustaz Abdallah, what you are saying is right. If you go to 2.3, Article 2.3 of the extension, the roadmap for 24 months, it says here, humanitarian assistance and reconstruction, chapter 3, Annex 5, item 19. This chapter of the Revitalized Agreement, RCIS, comprises of 29 actions. The 29 activities that should be implemented concerning humanitarian and reconstruction. If you go to 2.3.1, says here, 2 out of 29 action have been implemented successfully. Only 2 out of 29. This is their document. They have signed it. They'll work for a lot of signatures. We have only seen a lot of signatures here. And they are saying only 2. This is page 5. Only 2 out of 29 activities that have been implemented in this chapter. Then this chapter has not been implemented
at all.
And it is very sad. It is very sad. They are tying the hand of Vice President Rebecca Nyandeng, because it is her responsibility. But they tied her hand back. She is not able to help anyone, not humanitarians, IDPs or refugees, or children, or stopping even earlier child marriage. So the government itself has confessed that this chapter 3 has not been implemented, and this is their document. So if you doubting what Abdallah is saying, read the revitalized roadmap that has kicked off recently. So go ahead, Ustaz Abdallah, with the reading of construction. Thank you.
انت عارف يا استاذ موسى، يعني للاسف الشديد يعني انا ما يعني اتخيل بس الزمن ضيعوه في الفتره دي عشان يكتبوا 115 صفحه كويس للاتفاقيه. 115 صفحه لكن 116 يعني موقعين عليها عدد كبير جدا، لايك صفحتين. انا لقيت هنا امبارح كنت بقرا في اتفاقيه، لكن الكلام ده كله كلام انشائي سهل، ما في حاجه تم تنفيذه غير تقسيم السلطه، انه يكون في 5 نواب، يكون في وزراء، يكون في برلمان يعني معين من غير صلاحيات. حتى التفاصيل يعني بتاعت يعني البند الأول لم يتم تنفيذه. إذا نحن بنقول مجملا كده إنه الاتفاقية دي يعني زي بيقول له شنو مثلا، يعني ديل، أنا ما أعرف بالعربي يقول له شنو، لكن يجس يعني مقاولات، يعني حاجة كده it's not a peace، ما اتفاقية بالمعنى المعروف. صندوق الخاص لإعادة الإعمار 321 في الاتفاقية بقول شنو؟ تؤسس حكومة الوحدة الوطنية الانتقالية المنشطة لجنوب السودان بالتعاون والدعم من أصدقاء جنوب السودان صندوقا خاصا لإعادة الإعمار من خلال الشهر الأول من الفترة الانتقالية. يعني من الشهر الأول من الفترة الانتقالية يتم إنشاء صندوق لإعادة الإعمار عشان يبدأ يجيب النازحين، يعيدهم، يساعدهم بناء مدارس، مأكل ومشرب، وإنتاجهم، يعني لحد ما يعودوا في الحياة الطبيعية. خلال الشهر الأول من الفترة الانتقالية، ويتولى إدارته مجلس الصندوق الخاص لإعادة الإعمار الذي يضم أعضاء من حكومة الوحدة الوطنية الانتقالية المنشطة لجنوب السودان ومن الشركاء الدوليين لجنوب السودان. يتشكل مجلس الصندوق الخاص لإعادة الإعمار من 30 عضوا يتم اختيارهم كما يلي. طيب أنا ما أدري نمشي نضيع زمن في موضوع بتاع إنه منو المفروض كان يكون في هذه الاتفاقية.
نعم.
لكن الحاجة أنا داير أقول للمواطن، صندوق إعادة الإعمار عبارة عن فقط إنشاء مكتوب في الورق، وما أظن إنه في الفترة الانتقالية الآن تم تمديده عشان يكون 6 سنوات يتم تنفيذه.
تتذكر يا أستاذ، تتذكر أستاذ عبد الله، يعني مرحلة ما قبل التنفيذ 8 أشهر ونحن كنا بنتكلم عن صندوق إنه يا أخي حكومة السودان الجنوبي المفروض ياخد قروش عشان الشركاء الدوليين اللي هو 30 ممبر ده يقدر يجيب فير شير بتاعهم، وحكومه ما كان عايزه تاخد اي حاجه في صندوق. تذكر finally more pressure, more talk and all this thing. Salva Kiir came just only $1 million. Do you remember? $1 million قال لك ده قروش لصندوق بتاع اعاده الاعمار وما ادراك ما ذلك. $1,000,000 ايام شنو اذا كان القروش بيجيبوها من دبي ويقسم في جي 1 قروش اويل. ده المفروض يكون have to allocate the budget، المفروض يكون عندها ميزانيه خاصه، لان دي اتفاقيه السلام نصت على ذلك، واتفاقيه السلام دي هي اكبر من الدستور، لان حتى لو وصلت فيه بعدين قريته بقول لك if there is a conflict between you know البنود اوكي بتاع اتفاقيه السلام ودستور جنوب السودان المنشطه، دستور جنوب السودان 2011 المنشط الامندد هو تم امندد، لو في تعارض في البنود اذا الاتفاقيه تسود. The peace agreement, this agreement will prevail. Okay, but have they done that? No. Okay, there are so many things that have not been done, and actually this peace they did not implement, and that's why we are coming to the light and tell people of South Sudan this is what it should have happened, and it didn't happen. And always you are the one that have solution.
Yes, that's why we are here.
Yes. فأنا ده خليك تواصل.
أنا ما أعرف $1,000,000 ده يعني ده مساهمة بتاع العرس ولا ده مساهمة لعدد 4 مليون نازح؟ طبعا
غريبة.
المنطق جدا الشركاء الثانيين المفروض يساهموا في صندوق إعادة الإعمار هم بيشوفوا الدخل بتاع جنوب السودان هو شنو؟
نعم.
جنوب السودان بينتج بترول، نحن بننتج في اليوم أكثر من 100,000 برميل.
نعم
100,000 برميل. أستاذ موسى موجود هنا، وطبعا زول متخصص في المالية، وزول كان زول بتاع بجت بتاع الحكومة وبيعرف الأرقام ده أكثر مني. إذا نحن بننتج أكثر من
في الرقم الخاتينه في الميزانية نكتبوا للشعب بتاع جنوب السودان إنه 155 ألف برميل في يوم. actually أكتر من كده، يمكن قاعدين ننتج 300 ألف، لكن ما قالوا رقم الحقيقي. طبعا الشركات و SPLM إليت داسين جزء من عدد براميل وخاتين في ميزانية بتاع 2002 2023 2022 و2023 خاتين 155 ألف برميل في يوم. ده ما رقم صحيح.
طيب يا أستاذ موسى، إذا فرضنا إنه 155 ألف برميل في اليوم، في فترة كده البرميل الواحد وصل ل 80 ل 100 دولار. أضرب الإنتاج ده في اليوم وأضرب في الشهر، ده عدد كبير جدا من القروش. طيب إذا كان حكومة جنوب السودان عنده دخل في اليوم ما يزيد من 80 مليون في اليوم، طيب الرئيس يمشي يخط في صندوق إعادة الإعمار 1 مليون دولار، هتفهم كده من شنو؟ هتفهم شنو من هذا؟ هتفهم إنه حكومة غير جادة يساعد المواطن. فأنت الزول داير المساعدة، أنت بتبدأ بالمساعدة لنفسك، بعد ذاك الجيران بيجي يساعدوك. أنت ما ممكن أنت بتنتج في اليوم 155 مليون 155 ألف برميل بتاع النفط يوميا يصدر للأسواق العالمية ويباع بالدولار، إنك تدفع لصندوق إعادة الإعمار مليون دولار. كلامنا ما بيجي. إذن الشركاء الثانيين ما هيدفعوا لك. عشان كده البند ده لم يتم فيها تنفيذ أي شيء، حتى يعني تؤسس حكومة الوحدة الوطنية الانتقالية لجنوب السودان بالتعاون من أصدقاء جنوب السودان صندوقا خاصا للإعمار خلال الشهر الأول. مفروض حسب الكلام المكتوب في هذه الاتفاقية في صندوق إعادة الإعمار الآن نحن في 2023 أدليس يكون حكومة جنوب السودان عمل لإعادة مساعدة أدليس يعني 500 ألف مواطن أو مليون مواطن على الأقل، عشان نقدر نقول والله حكومة جنوب السودان اجتهد. لكن مليون دولار بيعمل شنو؟ مليون دولار الليلة ده سلفاكير لو ابنه داير يعرس بيطلع كم من الميزانية عشان العيد ده يتم؟
حالة جدا.
ده ما يعرف، ده ما يعرف. بعدين ده اموال بتاع الشعب. عشان كده هنا في يونايتد سيتي فور تشينج نحن عارفين الدخل الدوله اليوم، نحن عارفينه وعارفين البنيه التحتيه التمت يعني من 2018 لليوم، نحن عارفين تم شنو وما تم شنو. صرف مرتبات ما موجود. يعني العسكري الحارب من 83 بيصرف اقل من 25 دولار. المواطن في الخدمه المدنيه ما بيصرف 6 شهور. اين ذهبت هذه الاموال؟ اين ذهبت هذه الاموال؟ نحن سالنا مرات ومرات والحكومه ما قادر يجاوب. عشان كده نحن بنقول لازم يكون في انتفاضه شعبيه. لازم يكون في انتفاضه شعبيه. المواطن لازم يتمرد، المواطن لازم يرفع صوته، المواطن لازم يطالب بحقوقه. الانتفاضه الشعبيه دي هي المطالبه بحقوق. الانتفاضه هي المطالبه بحقوق، انه يكون في وضعيه افضل للوضعيه الان الموجود. في الوضع الانساني اللي احنا ذكرناه قبل شويه، نحن 12 مليون 8 مليون محتاجين لمساعدات. 8 مليون محتاجين لمساعدات. عندنا 2 مليون و300 الف نازحين. يعني الدوله كلها تعبانه. اين ذهبت هذه الاموال؟ اين تذهب هذه الاموال؟ عشان كده المواطن لازم يطالب بحقوقه. ده ما دار له يعني تردد، ما دار له خوف، وما تقول يا اخي دي الناس فلان والناس فلان. انت ابدا والناس التانيين بيجوك. لانه الحكومه دي لو ما غيرنا راسه، المواطن في جنوب السودان ما حيشعر بالسلام وما حيشعر بالامن because they don't care. والان لسه بيتكلم عن انتخابات. في هذا الوضع الحكومه بيتكلم عن انتخابات، ويقول انه الاحزاب السياسيه. ده الرئيس الفقير في زيارته الاخيره في اول قال للاحزاب السياسيه عليهم ان يقدموا مرشحين بتاعهم للانتخابات. طيب انت بتقول للاحزاب السياسيه تقدم المرشحين، يقدموا وين؟ يقدموا في الجيوان؟ اين مفوضيه الانتخابات؟ يجب عليك فورا ان تنشي حاجه اسمه مفوضيه الانتخابات اولا. بعدين الاحزاب السياسيه بتشيل الكشوفات بتاعت المرشحين او برنامجهم الانتخابي بودوا المفوضيه، ما بودوا في الجيوان. وين الدستور؟ انت داير تجري انتخابات بياتوا دستور، حتى الان لم يتم وضع بتاع الدستور بتاع جنوب السودان، لم يكتمل. انت حتجري انتخابات بياتوا دستور، حتجري انتخابات بياتوا الدوائر الجغرافيه بدوائر بتاع 2010 ولا كيف يعني انت حتنزل انتخابات؟ انتخابات دي يا اخواننا ما خشم، ده عمل. ده يعني الرئيس يعني he wasting just time للزمن اللي هو عايزه. لكن ما في انتخابات، ما في انتخابات بتتم بالخشب. انتخابات ده عمليه مؤقته، محتاج تمويل، محتاج تدريب، محتاج يعني اشياء كثيره، تجهيز، تدريب للكادر العامل. جنوب السودان ما حصل في عمره ادار انتخابات، ما حصل. كانوا يجوزوا فقط في مفوضيات الانتخابات اللي حصلت لما كان السودان موحد، وانا كنت جزء من المفوضيه بتاعت الانتخابات دي. عمليه معقده جدا. فكونه انه الاحزاب تمشي تقدم يعني كشوفات للانتخابات، ده كلام سهل، ده ما كلام جادي من سيد الرئيس. هنالك اولويات قبل الانتخابات. الان المواطن النازح، المواطن لازم ياكل، لازم يشرب. فالوضع الانساني في ولايه شمال عالي النيل مزري جدا، في ولايه شمال بارغزال، وهنالك كونفليكت داخليا، في مشاكل داخليا في عالي النيل هنا بين زابيي وهنا وتويت. المشاكل دي فيها فروقات انسانيه، الحاجات دي كلها لازم تعالج اولا، بعد ذاك بنمشي للانتخابات. فانا بجيب لحد هنا وبقول للمواطنين الناس المشاهدين انه البند الثالث الخاص بالانسانيه واعاده الاعمار ما تم تنفيذه هو زيرو كبير. الى هنا انا بقيف وبدي الاخ موسيس ادوات معنا في استوديو كونسنسس اوف ساوث السودان يشارك معنا في الحوار. ثانك يو.
اشكرك كل الشكر استاذ عبد الله قرن لايضاح ولتفسير وتوضيح بنود الجو في الجزئيه الاولى، الجزئيه الثالثه من Revitalized Agreement المنشطه. الان نحن انتهينا من الفصل الثالث، نحن ننتقل للفصل الرابع مع استاذ ايكونومست موسيس ادوارد عشان يقدر يشرح لنا في الفصل الرابع. استاذ موسيس, I welcome you to concern citizen of South Sudan. If you want to mix it, you are welcome to go. فاتفضل استاذ موسيس.
انا تكلمت بعربي، يا ريت موسيس يتكلم بانجليزي عشان الناس تفهم.
لا شكرا، انت حاولت ليلة تبقي عربي بسيط شويه ما فالناس كتار هيسمع كلام ده ان شاء الله. انا I will speak in English and I may say a few words in Arabic. Let me say that I am going to focus on chapter 4 of the Revitalized agreement on the resolution of the conflict of South Sudan that was signed in 12th of September 2018.
لكن أستاذ موسيس كنت أود قبل ما نحن ننتقل للفصل الرابع نسمع الراعي، لأننا وضحنا هنا كمان نحن هنتكلم عن ما فيش أي مساومة في روما. هنالك opposition سوما which is South Sudan oppositions كان في meeting في روما بينهم وبين الحكومة، ولكن جاءنا أخبار بأن هناك لم يصلوا إلى أي اتفاق، وإن الحكومة يعني حاولت تقول إنه ما أتى به المعارضة لم يكن موجودا من قبل. So in nutshell, they are saying that whatever opposition presented in Roma the last 4 days that they've been talking, uncompelling argument, because they are saying that actually they supposed to start where they stop, while the oppositions, the Real SPLM, National Salvation, NDM, and others, SAF, Paul Malonga one, they were saying that actually they need to do national, which is consensus roundtable. But government is saying that no, we were given a kida, and you have signed another cessation of hostilities. فانا داير تعليق بتاع استاذ عبد الله من ناحيه ده قبل ما نحن نرجع لك يا استاذ موسى، وبعدين انت تعلق ده قبل ما تخش. فاستاذ عبد الله داير اديك الفرصه، تفضل.
شكرا جزيلا الاخ جنكور. طبعا نحن للاسف الشديد سمعنا الاخبار اللي جات من روم بان تم تاجيل المفاوضات بين الحكومه وبين المعارضه اللي بتفاوض الان بقياده بول مالونغاوان، توماس شيريلو، جنرال توماس شيريلو، ايمانويل جاوين واخرون. فللاسف الشديد لم يتم التوصل للنقاط او نقاط المفاوضات، والحكومه رجعت انه لجوبا عشان يعمل مزيد من المشاورات. لكن انا في رايي طبعا الحكومه اصلا في جنوب السودان هي لا تريد انه يكون في تقدم في المفاوضات مع المعارضه الموجود في روم، لانه هي فقط يعني احتراما لبوب فرانسيس وزيارته لجنوب السودان، عشان كده هم عملوا اعاده للمفاوضات. طبعا المعارضه مشت هناك، الحكومه جات، الحكومه مصره انها تواصل في اخر نقطه هم وقفوا فيها قبل سنتين لما علقوا المفاوضات. لكن المعارضه جابت بند جديد من البنود بتاعت المفروض يتم نقاشه، هي موضوع بتاعت الراوند تيبل. فالحكومه قالت انه ما جاهزه، فهم هيرجعوا وهيعملوا مشاورات للرئيس. لكن الحاجه انا بعرفه طبعا لما يكون في مفاوضات بيكون في لجنه مسخره في دوله هناك موجود، اللجنه دي بتكون على اتصال ويكون في اجتماعات مباشر مع اللجنه المفاوضه. فاللجنه دي بيكون في استشاريه مباشر بينه وبين الرئيس واللجنه الموجود في روما. اذا في اي قرار فبسرعه ممكن يتم يعني اتخاذ قرار الان. لكن الحاجه الواضح انه الحكومه انسحبت من المفاوضات. الحكومه انسحبت من المفاوضات، الان في تاجيل المفاوضات في شهر 8 في شهر 5 يوم 8 شهر 5 الجاي. لكن لا اظن انه الحكومه سوف تعود للمفاوضات، لا اظن ذلك. عشان كده الامل في موضوع السلام مع الحكومه انا بشوفه يعني عمل ضعيف جدا. يعني زي ما قلنا حتى المتفق عليها في 2018 لم يتم تنفيذه، فما اظن انه الحكومه الان الموجود حيلتزم بالاتفاقيه غير يعني اكثر من الاتفاقيه الموقعه في 2018، لا اظن. فانا بقول انه الحكومه ما حتراجع، والان الحكومه بتلوح للانتخابات، فدي الشيء اللي هم دايرين يعملوا. لكن يعني الحكومه ما حتصل مع هذه المجموعه لاتفاق في القريب العاجل. ده رؤيتي اللي انا شايفه يعني. فشكرا جزيلا.
اشكرك استاذ عبد الله قرن. وايضا اريد ان اسمع استاذ موسى قبل ما ننتقل الى الفصل الرابع من اتفاقيه السلام المنشطه. استاذ موسى انت سمعت and I said the government feel that the opposition actually did not presented compelling argument, and that's why they said no, we should negotiate from where we stopped last time. Meanwhile, the opposition is saying that we should open new venue, which is mean that we have to be on round table instead of the previous one. But Hakuma insisted that actually since we started from here, what do you see argument here made? And do you think the government is going to come back to Rome and continue negotiating and open new venues on that regard? Go ahead.
Well, Ustaz Jonkor, I would like to say that the Rome Peace Initiative is, in my view, as a non-violent movement, it is a good thing. And because we don't believe in violence, we believe in sitting down as South Sudanese and discussing our problems and coming up with our solution, as it is the motto in African Union that African problems need African solutions. So going for Rome Peace Initiative and trying to address the problem in South Sudan is a great idea. But we in UCC, we believe that this government, the dictatorial regime in Juba, is not interested even in implementing the current revitalized peace agreement that we are discussing, let alone to sign another new deal. So all the government is doing right now is to buy time while they are campaigning until the time of election comes, and they are going to rig the election, and they will block all other political parties from going for election. And I will come back to that. There were four main issues in the agenda of the Rome peace talk. One is the security sector reform. That's number one thing in the agenda of the Rome, security sector reform. Number two is economy. That's what we are talking. I'm going to talk more about it now in chapter 4. Number three, social issues. That's Abdullah has talked about this, including IDPs and displacement, a lot of social issues, poverty, and a lot of things that are facing our people. They are all connected. Economic issues and social issues were put in the agenda of Rome peace talk. Number four, the issue of justice. So with all this, the government, of course, was not ready. As Ustaz Abdallah Garankir has said, the government just want to tell Pope and the world that yes, we respect Pope, seeing Pope as His Holiness Pope Francis has visited us. Now the president has accepted to re-engage in peace talk in Rome. So it is not a genuine intention. They are not actually intending to sign another political deal. They want to get rid of this revitalized peace agreement by all means and establish a dictatorial regime, a very strong dictatorial system without all these agreements, and so they can rule the country as dictators. And they have started in this campaign now. They have adjourned the talks just to buy time. The government say that people will go back, the parties will go back on 8th of May 2023. They will resume the peace, the Rome peace talk. So this is all a strategy of buying time and trying to tell the international community we are going to sign peace with the non-signatories. But all I want to say to the non-signatories, let's not wait for the government to change itself. It is us to have plan B. If they don't want peace talk, as they don't want to have inclusive views in what is going on in South Sudan, let us think of other alternatives. And one of these alternatives is popular uprising. It is a potential strategy and tool that can really change South Sudan drastically, and it can change the whole dictatorial regime. Yes, it is not easy, but if we put all our brains in it, by the time the government accept to have Rome peace to be resumed, they will actually not even have a chance to come to Rome. They have to run and hide where they have stolen the public money and hidden the public money. So, in short, the government is not serious. I know the real SPLM, Paul Malone, Gerald Thomas Cirillo of NAS, other political parties that are involved in Rome are serious. They want to talk with the government, but the government is not serious. So this is the fact. So all we want to tell the people of South Sudan, we in UCC, we are hopeless about this dictatorial regime in Juba. Since they are not implementing the revitalized peace agreement, we even doubt that they will even go to sign another deal in Rome. So thank you. This is what I can say. Let us wait for 8th of May, and we'll see what will happen. But people should not put any hope in Rome peace initiative. If revitalized peace agreement is not even giving the election to people, the revitalized peace agreement has not actually stopped the violence in the country, to be honest. So, because the ultimate goal of revitalized peace agreement was to stop violence in South Sudan. But if you ask yourself, has the violence stopped in South Sudan? Maybe in J1 they are not killing each other, but people are displaced in Abia and Ngok. They are killing themselves. The violence has not stopped. So does President Kiir have to sign peace with Abia people and Ngok so they can have ceasefire? If you go to Sholo land, there is no peace. If you go to Equatoria, there is no peace. So the revitalized peace agreement, which was a great peace agreement in terms of a better alternative than continuing with the war, has not been implemented. That's why we are explaining to people the issues that have been put now in Rome peace agenda, like security, economic, social issues, justice, are in the revitalized peace agreement. But have they been implemented? No. But we cannot just tell people that there are things that have not been implemented without explaining to them what is that has not been implemented.
Correct.
That's why we are going through evaluation of the whole revitalized peace agreement, so we can really expose what has not been fully implemented to our citizens with honesty, because the government is not being honest with the people of South Sudan. So let us wait for 8th of May 2023 to see what they will do in Rome. Thank you.
Thank you استاذ موسس للاجابه. انا اشكرك كل الشكر للكلام ده. ومن هنا نحن we transition ourselves to chapter 4. Chapter 4 of course talk about the resources, economic and financial management within the revitalized peace agreement. So we wanted to go this chapter with Stas Moses Edward and see what government actually has done, what IO has done, what have they implemented on this chapter, which is political stakeholder supposed to ensure that revitalized transitional government of national unity is transparent and accountable with legal, institutional policies and procedures fully functional for sustainable development. Let's see. Ustaz Moses, I want you to walk us through what happened exactly. Was there some implementation on that regard for them? Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Ustaz Jonkor, and I thanks my colleague and comrade Ustaz Abdallah for a tremendous work that he has done in evaluating chapter 3 about humanitarian affairs. And I am going to talk about chapter 4 of the Revitalized Peace Agreement. The title of chapter 4 is Resource, Economic and Financial Management. And this is one of the most important chapters out of 8 chapters of Revitalized Peace Agreement in my perspective, because if chapter 4 is implemented, the citizen of South Sudan will reap the benefit, the dividends of this economics management, financial management, a fair and a just sharing of wealth among 10 states and among the government agencies in the country. Because this is what is helping the people if it is implemented. But so far, we all know that the ultimate purpose why Revitalized Peace Agreement was signed in 2012, in 12 of September 2018. There were three objectives, three main things. One, to end the war between the main warring parties, that is SPLM-IG and SPLM-IO, and which means they have to have a permanent ceasefire. Number two, they have to sign, they have to share power, because that was the found as the reason why people went, the country went into war in 2013 and 2015. It was a power struggle. So the agreement is trying to secure three aspects: to cease fire, permanently cease war in the country, and then power sharing, and then third, election in the country. So the people will now have the power to elect their representative. So this was the purpose of Revitalized Peace Agreement. So far, Revitalized Peace Agreement have only achieved the power sharing, and that's the ultimate thing the politician, the SPLM elite wanted. But in the agreement, what would have compensated our people and solved their economic suffering was Chapter 4, if it was really implemented. And for that reason, I need to walk us through what promises did the parties to the agreement said and have signed as an agreement, and it has become a law in the country. And what have they done really? So when we say that the revitalized transitional government of national unity has failed, you have to understand that we are not just saying that the government has failed for the sake of saying the government has failed. We are saying the government has failed because what they have signed in the Revitalized Peace Agreement has not been implemented in terms of policies, in terms of everything that they have agreed to be implemented. So I will explain and evaluate what is in this Chapter 4. And to remind you about what we have already said as a framework of what I'm going to say here, if you go back to Chapter 1, Article 1, Article 10, in Chapter 1, you will find that in power sharing, there are 5 clusters in the Revitalized Agreement. Those 5 clusters are governance, and governance clusters is the responsibility of the first Vice President, Dr. Riek Machar. In governance clusters, there are 12 ministries, national ministries, that must be under responsibility of Dr. Riek Machar. These 12 government agencies, we call them government agencies in the budget, but they are national ministries. They are under the responsibility of the first Vice President, Dr. Riek Machar. And these 12 ministries, regardless whether they come from the SPLM, IG, or IO, or other political parties, it is the responsibility of Dr. Riek Machar to supervise them, to make sure that they are effective, they are implementing what is in the Revitalized Peace Agreement. The second cluster is economic cluster. Economic cluster has 11 ministries, 11 national ministries. And these 11 national ministries are under the responsibility of Vice President Dr. James Waniiga. And these include, for example, the Ministry of Petroleum and the Ministry of the Finance and Economic Planning or Planning. But they are 11. It is the responsibility of Dr. Waniiga to make sure that all the articles in the Revitalized Peace Agreement that are related to these 11 ministries under economic cluster are being implemented. So this is one of the areas that I'm going to talk about. And if I have to start the blame, I would start with the Dr. James Waniiga, because Chapter 4 of the Revitalized Peace Agreement fall under the Vice President, Dr. James Waniiga. He is the one that is responsible for economic cluster, 11 ministries. The third cluster is service cluster, and it is the responsibility of Vice President Hussein Abdelbagi Ayi, with the 5 ministries under his responsibility. That is education, for example, education sector, whether higher education or general education. It is under service cluster, and health and public service and labor. So 5 ministries, all their responsibilities and what they should do based on the Revitalized Peace Agreement is under the responsibility of Vice President Hussein Abdelbagi. He is the one that is first responsible to make sure what is in peace agreement in Chapter 4, in this chapter that are related to services in South Sudan are implemented. The 4th cluster is infrastructure. Cluster has 3 ministries, and this is under the responsibility of Vice President Taban Dengai. These ministries include the roads and bridges, energy and dams. So if there are issues to do with infrastructure, roads are not being built, bridges are not being built, the first person to be responsible is Vice President Taban Dengai. The last but not the least is the gender and youth cluster. That is the responsibility of Vice President Rebecca Nyandeng Demobur. She is responsible for 4 ministries. So she has to make sure that what Ustaz Abdallah was talking about in Chapter 3 of the Revitalized Peace Agreement, including humanitarian assistance, she has to make sure that these 4 agencies or ministries under her responsibility are getting the right fund and are implementing what is in the Revitalized Peace Agreement. And when we mention her, we are mentioning her because she is the Vice President of the country. There is nothing personal that we are saying against her, but we are saying that her responsibility as a Vice President is to deal with the humanitarian issues, gender, early child marriage, and child soldier issues, and sport even falls under her responsibility. So all these are divided under 5 clusters. But for this presentation, I am going to focus on one clusters, and that economic cluster is going to be my focus. And the person that I would be referring to ask question with the government is Dr. James Waniga, because this is a direct responsibility of Dr. James Waniga. And I know where these 5 clusters came.
He's the boss on that particular area.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I need to give people the background. When they were negotiating, they were looking for a way how to accommodate these 5 vice presidents. What will be their role? And it happened that there were a group of economists, including Dr. Peter Biar. They had planned a national development strategy. So in 2018, it was revised, and I was in the team that revised the national development strategy. We did this as Minister of Finance, and with the team of with the team from University of Juba, including the Vice Chancellor, Prof. John Akech was there with us in Dambish Hotel next to Juba Stadium, and I was one of the people in the team that review the national development strategy. In that national development strategy, we put these 5 clusters to accommodate these 5 vice presidents, because you cannot just create a vice president without an assignment. And that's why these 5 clusters have been created and assigned to each vice president has been assigned to be responsible for one cluster. As I said, Dr. Riak is responsible for governance cluster, 12 ministries. 11 ministries goes to James Waniga, economic clusters. 5 ministries goes to Hussein Abdel Bagi, service clusters. And 3 ministries goes to infrastructure clusters. And 4 goes to Rebecca Nyandeng. All these ministries, if you add, they are 35. Kamsa 30 wazara gosomom le kamsa نواب بتاع رئيس جمهورية وكل نائب رئيس ado كذا وزارات يكون مسؤول بوزارات ديل ويشوف في شنو في اتفاقية اللي عايزينه ينفذوه في وزارات ديل. So this institutional reform can be effective. So what has been signed can be translated from theory or a paper, from paper to practice, practical projects. But so far, let me go to chapter 4. So we see what has been written here in paper, in agreement. Has it been translated into practical projects? Before I just go there, let me go back to refer you to the agreement, Revitalized Peace Agreement. I would like you to go to chapter 4, resources and economics. I will just read the general principle. There are 7 general principles in chapter 4. And this all, chapter 4, as I said, falls under economic cluster.
So which page? Sorry, which page?
Yes, Sania Bas.
It should be 52, Abdullah.
Page 42, Ustaz Jonkor, Ustaz Abdullah.
Okay, thank you.
Page 42 of the Revitalized, the RCs.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the font, because I make my font bigger.
I will read it quickly so people know what is there. For those who have read it, it will make it easier for us to explain, because
I got it. Thank you. I got it.
But let me go to 4.1. There are 7 general principles that has been signed by the parties and the stakeholders of the Revitalized Peace Agreement. Number one, it says political leaders and stakeholders shall ensure that the Artigono is transparent and accountable, with the legal, institutional policies and procedures fully functional for sustainable development. So this is a principle that SPLMIG and IO plus other parties to the agreement shall make sure that there is transparent and accountability.
In the revitalized government and national unity.
Yes, for the question here,
were they transparent?
Is there really transparent? If there was transparent, President Kiir would have not sacked Honorable Angelina or anyone in IO without consulting the first vice president. So this principle was actually violated, and in a lot of policies that can promote sustainable development, there is no transparency in these policies. The policies are just decided by the SPLMIG, and these policies are not effective. There is no accountability for those who have looted public money. There is no accountability, because if this is a principle, it should not be violated. And if there is really development, the government and IO have not followed the formula that can lead to sustainable development in South Sudan. Because you cannot talk about sustainable development without following the economic principle that can lead you to development. And the simple formula for development in any country, whether in the West or in developing countries, is simple. You must have saving as a government. You save some money from oil, and then that money, number two, invest them in national projects based on whether health or roads or bridges or social services projects, water project. You invest the money. So you have a saving, you have saved money from national fund, you have invested them in national projects, and then if you do these two things, your economy will grow in the country, because all these economic activities of investment will create more economic activities in South Sudan economy, will create jobs, will create a lot of employment for youth and for everybody that is involved in all these national projects that the saved money, the government money has been invested. If you have this economic growth, now you can talk about development. So it is four things. You have the money from oil, whether you save it or you borrow it or you get it direct from oil, you must invest it. If you invest it, the economy will grow. If the economy grow, you will have development. Now then you can even now talk about sustainable development. Here they're saying that political leaders shall ensure that the Artigon has policies that are fully functional for sustainable development. What we are seeing in J1 or in all these 11 economic clusters institutions, they are not implementing anything that can bring economic growth, let alone to talk about development in South Sudan. All they are doing, they are not even saving the money, some percentage from the oil money. They are just consuming the oil money, and they are not consuming the money inside the country. They have bought houses in all neighboring countries, and now they have they went as far to Morocco and Dubai, and all the money that should have been invested in economic activities in the country so that we can talk about economic growth and then development are no longer spent even inside South Sudan. So there is no way that this principle would be translated from just from paper to reality in South Sudan. We will never see sustainable development under this dictatorial regime in Juba. Because if you ask yourself, of course, when you do evaluation of any political project or economic project, peace is a political project. Like Revitalized Peace Agreement is a political project for a country. So any project, if you want to evaluate it as we are doing, all of us, we look into 6 questions or criteria. The relevancy of what has been put in the Revitalized Peace Agreement, is it relevant really? Because if it is not being implemented, it's not even relevant to be put in that agreement in the first place. They should just stick with the power sharings so they don't give people false hope that there will be development, there will be sustainable development. So is it really relevant to put this chapter 4 when you are not going to implement it? Number 2, the coherent. How well does the Revitalized Peace Agreement fit with the current political and economic situation in the country? Now, if I've talked about the, economics and resources and financial management, how well are all these articles that are put in chapter 4, how well are they fitting with the current economic crisis situation in the country? Are they matching? The articles are going in a different way. The real situation of South Sudanese people is different. For the last 4 years, now we give them another 2 years extension, and nothing is going to change. What is written will go in a different lane, and the real situation, the economic situation of the country will go in another different lane. They are not going to meet. So it is not coherent. Number 3, is the RCs achieving its objectives? Is it effective? No, it is not effective. We have seen economic crisis committee that was formed, high-level economic crisis was formed, and His Excellency Vice President Dr. Waniga was put on to share it, because that the cluster that is responsible for. يعني cluster طبعا ده مجموعة من وزارات، يعني في 11 وزارة تحت مسؤولية بتاع Vice President Waniga، و12 تحت مسؤولية بتاع First Vice President Dr. Riak. فديل بيقولوا له clusters بالإنجليزي. So economic clusters في 11 وزارة مسؤولية بتاع Dr. Waniga. But is he effective? Hell, the committee, the economic crisis committee, is it effective? Is what the Revitalized Peace Agreement has said about chapter 4, is it being achieved in the last 4 years? Is it going to be achieved next 2 years in this roadmap, extended roadmap? I don't think so. It is not going to be achieved. Number 4, efficiency. And this is where I want to focus on. How well are the resources of oil and non-oil revenue being used by SPLM-IG and SPLM-IO through this Revitalized Peace Agreement to achieve chapter 4? For the last 4 years, they've been using the oil money. How well did they use this oil money to implement chapter 4 or the Revitalized Peace Agreement? They have not. There is no efficiency. There's a lot of waste. a waste of oil money, and all they do is to go and beg. Thank God, I don't know if Japan did not actually decide to be one of the best partners with South Sudan. We would have known now the bridge, and the old bridge would have collapsed long time ago. By this time, would have not even this water system that is in Juba. But South Sudan is not only about Juba. What about the other 9 states? They don't have bridge, they don't have water system. So how efficient has the oil money been used during this revitalized peace agreement term for the last 4 years? Were they really utilized for the purpose that is in the revitalized peace agreement? Or was revitalized peace agreement used as a license to deceive people that we have legitimacy, but we have to loot the oil money under this agreement? That was the intention. Because if they were really serious about efficiency, relevancy of the agreement, coherence, effectiveness, and efficiency, we would have seen an impact in the life of our citizens. So if for example, if I ask South Sudanese people, what differences does the revitalized peace agreement make in your life or in the life of South Sudanese in 10 states? Did it add anything in your life? Did it give you opportunity to work? Did you
Security.
get up? Were you paid on time? Maybe it has not given much. It has not made any much impact in your life, apart from making impact in the SPLM elite's life. Yes, for sure, for the last 4 years, they have looted oil money and non-oil revenues. So it has made an impact in their life. They have enriched themselves. But for you that support the government for the last 4 years, and you want to continue to support them for the next 2 years, what differences has the revitalized peace agreement did in your life that you want to spend your next 2 years and energy and time supporting a political project that is not serving your interest? The last criteria that we are using to evaluate this revitalized peace agreement is sustainability. So will the benefit of the revitalized peace agreement last? Will they be there for the next 10, 20, 50 years? If there is really a benefit. So this question are the question that we are looking at to evaluate the relevancy of the revitalized peace agreement, the coherence, the effectiveness, the efficiency, the impact that it has made in our on the life of our citizen, or the livelihoods of our citizen, and the sustainability of that improvement in the livelihood. So all those 6 criteria are the one that we are using to go through revitalized peace agreement chapter by chapter and make it relevant to the real day-to-day living condition in our country.
Ustad Moses, do you hear me?
Yes.
أنا لو سألت 115 pages, who write it? هل ده حكومة ولا IO ولا somebody got hired to write this pages very beautiful way? لأنه أنا شايف الحكومة ما، أنا لو سألت احتمال سلفاكير آخر مرة هو لبس الاتفاقية ده الزمن عمل فيه ساين. أنا مستغرب جدا يعني إذا الحكومة هو بتجيب الأجندة والآي وهو جاب الأجندة ده ووقع عليه، إذا المفروض يكون في تنفيذ. لكن who wrote this agreement. ده انا مستغرب جدا. انا سؤال بس عن نفسي، يا ريت انت نبقى منك اجابه يعني. واو من جنكو. لانه ما في التزام.
I will try to answer it, and Jonkor also may help, and other people in the clubhouse may later, if we have time, will answer it. First of all, Revitalized Peace Agreement, the genesis of it. Dr. Riek Machar was pressured. First, the genesis of the war of 2013 and 2015 before the peace was signed, this peace that we are talking about. We, South Sudan, we are landlocked with bad neighbors and bad politicians that are ruling us within the country. So South Sudan is in this political mess and economic crisis because of internal factors, that is failure in leadership and lack of vision, and all the facts that were said in the final report of National Dialogue. The internal factors that made us to be a failed state. The external factors that contributed to the war was Omar Bashir was financing Dr. Riek Machar movement, giving them weapon and ammunition. And Uganda was supporting President Kiir. But when this peace agreement was signed, the two stakeholders, Uganda and Sudan, found that they are not benefiting from the war, because Sudan realized that yes, we have shown our power now to SPLM government that we can destabilize you, but right now we are going to make peace, but this peace must be done through us. So Bashir imposed his powers on Dr. Riek, and Uganda imposed its powers on Juba. That's why the final deal was blessed by Bashir in Khartoum, though some part of this were done in Addis Ababa and Uganda. But at the end of the day, it was Bashir that was a grantor. He's no longer there. So they put a lot of input there, including having more vice president, because Sudan used to have 3 vice presidents. 2 vice presidents, Dr. John and Ali Osman. They also learned from Congo. Congo used to have 4 vice presidents. So they say, okay, let's add 1 more vice president. So these ideas came from Sudan. Uganda want peace because they know that they want to export all the goods, because South Sudanese are not producing things. They all import the food, everything. So they forced these 2 groups actually to sign the deal. So some of the things here were just put there to make the document look good, but they did not actually come from President Kiir camp or Dr. Riek Machar camp. That's why what came from them is power sharing. They just want to go back to rule the country and continue to loot, because they have been there since 2005, 6 years of transitional period. And 6 years of transitional period is more than 4 years in the agreement. And they haven't done anything apart from referendum that people voted for by 98.3%. So I can say this agreement, some part of some articles were just put in there to look, so the document look good, and that is the influence of Bashir and influence of Yoweri Museveni from Uganda. But I doubt that President Salva Kiir himself has much input, or his government, in this revitalized peace agreement. If it were Dr. John Garang, yes, I believe Dr. John Garang will not sign things unless he's really sure that what he's signing is something that he will be able to implement. Thank you. And I will go ahead if John Kor has answered the question.
Thank you.
Well, Ustaz Moses, thank you for your answer. Actually, you did it very well on that regard. So the thing is, sometimes, in Africa, majority of African people, they keep talking about, the West is the reason. And somehow you made a very good point that actually we are a landlocked country with the bad neighbors. And we don't have leaders that have a national agenda, promote national agenda, so this country can move to the next level. We do not. Bad neighbor that we have, they are looking, and I said this many times, and I go to Kalamda Forum of Consensus in South Sudan, that actually South Sudan is emerging as a young nation with a potential, with a lot of oil, with natural resources, mining, gold, copper, and all these things. So the neighboring countries, they are likely to create a chaos, because if South Sudan is going to be like a destination of investors, whether from west or from the east, that can create more, political, jealousy in the region, and that we have seen that with Kenya and Uganda and Ethiopia. But Ethiopia is a little bit, not like Kenya, not like Uganda, because Kenya wanted to benefit directly from South Sudan, and Uganda is the same. But the thing is, if our own brothers, which is if they knew that we are landlocked and we have bad neighbors, not even a bad neighbor, we have a brother, Sudan, because we were part of them, but we decided to break away to put our own order in our own house in order, separate from them, because they have been giving us hard time for quite some time. You know that they are bad neighbors. Why would you act, as they say, stupidly, with your brother? Because now an enemy next door will take that advantage, because you knew you have a lot of enemies that actually they want to get in and destroy you. So actually South Sudanese leaders are the one that gave opportunity to Sudan, to Uganda, to Kenya, so they can do whatever they want to do. But if we believe, in the cause that we fought the war for 22 years, we wouldn't even fight among ourselves. And that's why I keep saying always, do not try to prove yourself that you are right, but you can do the right thing. That's what you need to do. You don't need to say, oh, I am the right one, I am the strongest one, I can do this, I can do this. No. But do right thing. By doing right thing, actually, you will see a lot of people actually are standing with you. But when you prove you are, am I right, and I might do this and I might do that to him, and then things can fall apart, and an enemy can come. Like what happened if you didn't secure your luck carefully? The hyena are likely to sneak in and then kill all the goats, and then they start, taking them one by one. And that's what happened in our country. Our luck was not secure because of political negligence. No, it's because of what? Because of greedy that we have. Because Salva Kiir knew what he was fighting for 38 years. Dr. Young Machar knew when we were fighting for 30 years. South Sudanese generals, they knew what we were fighting for 4 years. And sometimes actually I tend to disagree when people say that they did not have what it takes to move this country forward. They do. Give example of Saudi Arabia. They were not educated, the leaders. But with your money, with the resources that you have, you can buy education. You can bring good mind people actually, and they can set up a system that can be unbreakable. And then you can succeed.
Junko.
So you're right. You're
Yeah,
not
but
here.
let me read this comment for you before you conclude.
Go ahead.
He said from Akai Garan. So the Akai said the Revitalized peace agreement actually was for the benefit of Khartoum. That is why Kiir said once upon a time that Revitalized peace agreement was not meant to implement.
To be implemented.
To be implemented. حتى الرئيس ذاته بيقول يا اخي انه الاتفاقيه ده عملوا عشان ما ينفذوا. عشان كده انا سالت ده منو يوم كتب الاتفاقيه؟ لانهم بعيدين كل البعد من الكلام المكتوب في الاتفاقيه والكلام الموقع عليه والحاجه اللي هم بيعملوا different. عشان كده I'm asking who wrote this agreement, you know. فواصل يعني انت مذكر الكلام ده كويس انه كثير قال يا اخي اتفاقيه اصلا عملوا عشان ما ينفذوا يعني. للاسف الشديد
مذكر ما هو اساسا كلامك صح استاذ عبد الله واستاذ موسى. Peace agreement has been engineered by those, you know, actors in the region because they want to know they want to have that big benefit on it. But at the same time, President Kiir is contradicting himself. If it was not meant to be implemented, why would you agree in the first place? Why would you sign it? Because this is a binding document. Soon you sign, it becomes a binding document that you have to implement it, like a contract. Like when you sign a contract, you cannot come 2 days later and say, you know what, I changed my mind. There will be a cost. It will cost you. They will say you either implement it or no way. Okay, you cannot. And if you knew it's not meant to be implemented, you shouldn't even celebrate it because President Kiir has celebrated this peace agreement in Khartoum. Do you remember when he said that? This is what we meant. We were forced in Addis Ababa, but now it came, you know, through our willingness. But I got to tell you this because I keep repeating this every time. When Dr. Young Machar was in confinement in Pretoria, South Africa, it was done collaboratively by President Kiir and other people in the region, and he bribed them so he can be locked down there. When economic went down tank, and then there is the conflict between Sudan and South Sudan, and then there was no, you know, exporting of the oil, army embargo, and South Sudan is squeezed so bad. Finally, what they did, they said, no, we must do this. They've agreed to do this so they can export the oil. Bashir wanted oil so bad. So they went ahead and said, okay, we will release Dr. Machar and come here and tell people that we are signing a peace deal and to make it like, you know, legit. But that's not was their intention, actually. That was the intention because their intention is to play a tactic, and they did. They did that play tactic. Because al-Bashir himself, after we gain independence, after we break away, they have a conference, something called Majlis Shura. I remember very well, I still have a document. And he said, you know what, we're going to work against South Sudan, again, Al-Haraka Shabia, and it will take them only 3 months for Junub to collapse. He was saying it in video. That Junub does it, and we will work to do it. And they did their part, all these things. And that's why I keep referring back President Kiir and others. If you knew you have a bad neighbor, you have a bad brother, you break away from him. Why don't you work tirelessly to avoid crisis so they cannot interfere? But now you actually allow the crisis to happen. And that's why we are in this. Anyway, we have so many answers. It was engineered by Ustad Abdullah, by the region, you know, actors, so they can benefit, you know. But we're supposed to implement it. If we implemented it anyway, it's not going to impact anyone. It's going to be good. This is what they're supposed to be doing. Fadal Moses.
Yeah, sorry, Moses, I'm probably.
No, we are.
You was going for details of chapter 4.
Yeah,
Go
this
ahead.
is.
I'm sorry for that. Thank you.
Your question is very important questions, and we have to do more research on it as well to find out why did they allow this agreement to be imposed on them, and then now they are dragging their feet back. They don't want to implement anything, and now they have chosen selective implementation. Selective implementation. زي زول داير ياكل ما زول في سانه بيشيل جواكر بس. بيشيل لام وبخلي باقي هنا يدل زول التاني. So هو شال chapter كويس more power sharing, and they don't need to implement the economic aspect of it.
Especially مثلا Moses, they suppose, you know, يدي إغاثة للشعب المنكوب. South Sudan, they don't have the income. يعني agreements that actually permitted that إنه جنوبيين الأكثر تضرراً يعملوا إغاثة.
ما I've said this, Jonko, let me say it in Dinka.
Mm.
Taban Rebecca Nyandeka Mosul humanitarian. She do what Chen.
That's
And
right.
she has no money, she has no power. All she's doing now is just to protect the legacy of her husband and not to be killed. So I cannot blame her. In my view, Rebecca Nyandeng is very innocent in this implementation. It is not being implemented because the money that should go to implement chapter 3 is not going to her. And the money that should implement chapter 4 is under the responsibility of President Kiir, whether Minister of Petroleum, it is IO, whether Minister of Finance, it is IG. They are the one controlling the money. This chapter 4 should have been implemented long time ago. Let me conclude in less than 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and then so we can finish the rest in the clubhouse. The second principle is say that political leaders and stakeholders shall establish effective leadership and commitment in the fight against corruption. Any leader found to have condoned or engaged in corrupt practices shall be held accountable and barred from holding public office in accordance with this agreement and the law. This is a joke, Abdallah. Your question was really a great question. Who really wrote this agreement? They said here there must be effective leadership that is committed to fight corruption. Unfortunately, the article is not fighting corruption. The parliament has never summoned a lot of ministers that are accused of corruption, including Honorable Mayik, who has committed a lot of corruption during, he has looted with his group the Barkazal road money. I have never seen the national parliament committing itself to someone Mayik before he could have even be reappointed again as the Minister of Foreign Affairs. He should have been summoned in the parliament and questioned. But of course, the corruption started from J1, from the head, from His Excellency President Kiir. He knows where the oil money goes. So he cannot be summoned by the parliament because people are afraid of him. He can kill you, definitely. You would be sent MI or national security to kill you by all means. Whether they poison you or they kill you with the gun, they have that capacity to do it in Juba. So this article 4.1.2 is very clear that the parties to the agreement should commit themselves to fight against corruption. And they say there any leader found to have condoned or engaged in corruption practices, such as a lot of ministers, including Honorable Mayik, that was sacked by presidential decree, has been found practicing corruption. That's why the presidential decree was issued by president to sack him, because he has looted the road money from Juba to Barakazal. And he has not been taken to court, he has never been punished. Instead, he was rewarded. So President Kiir is giving more incentive to public thieves in the country. So if you have stolen public money, President Kiir will give you more incentive to reappoint you. And the example is Honorable Mayik. There was a proof there that the Barkazar road has not been built, constructed. The money has been looted. The company has been changed, and a new company was brought, and the money was stolen. That is an evidence of corruption. But instead of dealing with these corruption behaviors and give this incentive to other public servants not to steal public money, instead the president gave more incentive by appointing him as a Minister of Foreign Affairs. So this is what has happened. So this principle 4.1.2 was violated by President himself and the executive and the legislative branch of the government, that is the parliament, that does not summon the corruptees. Article 4.1.3 says, the Artigono shall develop a code of ethics and integrity for public officials, emphasizing the values of honesty and integrity. Of course, we know in this Juba government, only few people in their portfolios are honest, but majority, whether in SPLM, IO, or SPLM IG, they are not honest, including those who are not IO or IG, such as Dr. Martin Ilia Lomoro. They are corruptees. And I know this. I know OSH, but the fence of the cabinet affairs, I actually refuse to prove the money for that fence because I decided that this money will be given in pound, not in dollars. Because Martin Ilia Lomoro looted millions, just millions of dollars to build the fence, OSH, but cabinet affairs, to make it look like J1.
So they make the budget on dollar, not on the local currency.
The point, he went and made a contract with the Syrians to build the fence with cabinet affairs. The contract Amaloma Lebanese was Syrian. So he can claim dollars instead of pound. I told his office manager and those who were following the claim that this money should be given in pound, South Sudanese pound. Now we are just building OSH. You don't need to buy things from outside. But he went and complained to the minister, Stephen Dew. And I actually talked to Stephen Dew. This does not really need dollars. And I actually went to the cabinet affairs and I talked with the undersecretary. The undersecretary was not aware of how the money has been approved. So it is only the Minister of Cabinet Affairs that knows how much money should go out, but the undersecretary, but Wazarada, ma fahim zatu what is going on, until I went and I told him, are you aware of this? These hundreds and thousands of dollars that are going for just building the fence. OSH is not even a priority for South Sudan. OSH with our cabinet affairs, it's not a priority. You don't need $1 million or $2 million to build that big fence. But the undersecretary that were there was not aware of the claim that was brought to the Minister of Finance. And here, Honorable Dr. Martin Ilia Lomoro comes and insults people who talk in social media that they are criminal. You are the criminal. We know your record and we can expose more than this. Ask yourself, how much money have you stolen from the fence that you have built? Just a small project, you have taken $1 million plus. So this, and this practice is going on. President Kiir is still rewarding him to keep him there as a Minister of Cabinet Affairs. When it is proven is corrupt. We have reported a lot of corruption practices to internal audit and external audit. I did talk with internal auditors and external auditors that this is corruption. But what has been done? Nothing. When this complaint reached the executive level or the legislative branch of the government, they keep quiet. So they don't want to change anything. They don't want to punish the corruptees in the country. They only give them more incentive. If you go to Article 4.2.2, it talks about institutional reforms. And one of the institutions they talk most about is the Bank of South Sudan. That is the mother of bank, central bank. It must be independent and it must be responsible for monetary policy. The Bank of South Sudan, right now as we are speaking, as per this chapter 4, Article 4.2.2.1, is not independent. So the central bank is not independent. They are not independent. There is no independent board. The board are being given, the 9 people in the board of the central bank are being given directives by president and the national security and the crooks in the SPLM-IG. So the central bank is not independent. And this agreement is saying that central bank must be independent so they can manage monetary policy effectively. They can deal with the exchange rate independently. They can deal with stabilizing prices. They can deal with addressing inflation by introducing policies. But they are not allowed now to do the right thing. They are told, take the oil money, do auction, so we can go and get that oil money through auction. And they are the ones that have opened forexes and have connection and shares within commercial banks. So when these dollars are auctioned by central bank, they go and collect them. And commercial banks do not pass those dollars to the citizen. Even if you just need $200 or $500 as an ordinary citizen of South Sudan, you will not get it from any central bank, from any commercial bank, nor will you get it from any forex. You have to buy that $500 through black market. And who control black market? Those of Dr. James Waniga, those of James Tut Galwak, and those of Kolokor, General Kolokor, including President Kir Good Boys. They are the one controlling the black market. So they have become the central bank. They are the one, if you really want dollars, you go to them. Then you will get dollars through black market. But if you go through the so-called new institution reforms in this chapter 4 that were supposed to be reformed, such as central bank to be effective in dealings with the interest rate, with the exchange rate, with the inflations, with the stabilizing prices, they are not doing their job because they are not independent. They are being threatened. They are being told this is what to do. And they are told what to do by generals who don't know much about monetary policy, nor how to manipulate interest rate as a bank to stabilize the economy or to deal with the inflation. All they know, we fought for this country, we need dollars. You don't bring it, we go and complain to President Kiir, you will be sacked tomorrow. So this is how they are controlling institution in South Sudan. So central bank is not independent as per the Revitalized Peace Agreement. And if it was implemented, central bank should have been independent and given more powers to regulate all the commercial banks. And if the commercial bank do not pass dollars to the local citizen, traders, and if the commercial bank also do not even give loans, South Sudanese people now don't get loans in any commercial banks. And I understand the banks may have rights at some point because citizens are not paid on time. If you are not paid on time in this Western world, the bank cannot give you a loan, whether a mortgage or a loan, a car loan, or whatever loan, you must have a full-time job and you are paid consistently for a bank to give you a loan. I know this because I have worked in the bank. I know how banks works in Australia here, not just in South Sudan. So central bank is not independent bank. And central bank, if we have a responsible government really that is serving the people interest, central bank must be one of the institutions that should be independent from executive influence or security sector influence or any other um, agency in the government. Article 4.3, Ministry of Finance. There are reforms that are needed in the Ministry of Finance. They have not been done. Article 4.4, anti-corruption. Anti-corruption has not been empowered and is not protected by the executive, nor the security sector, nor the legislative assembly. So people in anti-corruption have no safety. They have no legal safety. They have no physical safety. That's why anti-corruption will never be effective under the revitalized transitional government of national unity. It is not protected. 4.6, 4.8 talk about resource and oil management. And then 4.10 talk about public finance. And 4.13 talk about borrowing. And all these articles have not been implemented. All the reforms that were articulated or stipulated in the Revitalized Peace Agreement to give hope that we are going to have democratic institutions that follow the rule of law, that follow the legislation, that follow the policies, have not been achieved through Chapter 4. And this shows that less has been implemented in Chapter 4, and I will conclude with this. If you go back to the 40 pages, the extension roadmap that was extended on Tuesday, 2nd of August 2022, that I always have a hard copy of all these documents so I can show it to people sometime, so people know that we don't just come here and make things up from our head. We have to refer back to the document that have been signed by our leaders and challenge them that these are failed policies and failed political projects. They cannot solve the fundamental problem of South Sudan. They cannot solve the economic crisis. They cannot solve the issue of not being able to establish a state. And أركان شعبية فشل عشان يأسس دولة بتاع مؤسسات. We need a country of states, of institution, a state that has inclusive institution. Those inclusive institutions in South Sudan must give people incentive to do the right thing, and they must also give people opportunities. The institution that we have right now in Juba or South Sudan, they are not inclusive institution. They are not democratic. They are not giving people opportunities. They are not even giving people incentive. So to conclude with Chapter 4, I would like you to go back to page 6 of the extended roadmap. It says here in Chapter 4, resource economic and financial management. This chapter has 16 articles, and because of time, I did not go through them all, but I just chose the key articles that I think are fundamental. If they were implemented, they would have made a big impact on the livelihood of the citizens of South Sudan, and it would have actually shown the citizen and the regions and the world that South Sudan is shifting from extractive institutions that are looting citizens to institutions that are more inclusive and democratic, and that can give citizens opportunities and incentive to be economically productive in the country. So this 16 article of 145 activities, 145 activities under this, all of which must be executed. That's what they say here in the extension. But if you go to 2.4, Article 2.4, one of the extension, I'm not now talking about Revitalized, but the Revitalized now has been extended, and this is now the new document, but it still remains as a reference. It says here, completed provision. What provision was completed in Article 4 that deal with the resources of South Sudan, the national resources, whether oil resources or non-oil resources or human resources? It says that only 2 activities are completed. Imagine, out of 66 activities in the Revitalized Peace Agreement, only 2. One is the National Development Plan has been done, and the budget allocation is done every year, but we don't know whether this budget goes to those spending agencies or not. And I know most of the time, the issue with the budgets is not
So
in.
notice.
Yes.
So 66 بند هم نفذوا بس they complete only 2.
Now they say here they complete only 2, and
Right.
some
So
they
there is
only
64 left.
9 in
64 left.
9 in progress, 2 completed, 9 activities in progress. But in Article 2.4.3, they say that 57 are pending or outstanding provision. They have not been implemented. Do you guys, my colleagues and my fellow South Sudanese, do you believe they will implement 57 activities? All these activities include anti-corruption, protecting anti-corruption, new institution, resource management, oil and petroleum, public finance, economic management, borrowing in the country. All these things, the government is even confessing that 57 activities are pending. What makes them to be pending? I can just show you something that should not be pending here, and I will close. Ustad Jonkor, give me just a few minutes. For this one, Article 4.4, Anti-Corruption Commission, 4.4.1, this is Revitalized Peace Agreement that I'm reading. In order to fight corruption, the Revitalized Transitional Government of National Unity shall protect the independence of the Anti-Corruption Commission. Does this really need money to be done, or does it only need political will? But who is threatening Anti-Corruption Commission? It is the executive, President Kiir himself. and his crook, the public looters that are looting public oil money. I don't have respect for public looters that are looting public money. And all that I'm using here are political insults, because these people that we are talking about that have signed the Revitalized Peace Agreement, whether Dr. Riak or President Salva Kiir, they are not just ordinary citizens. They are leaders that are ruling the country. So their policies that they have put here in the political project called Revitalized Peace Agreement, or the extended roadmap, all that they are saying here, they are not doing it. They are doing something else. And they are moving now, making campaign, especially President going to Wow, going to Gorial, going to Warab, making campaign for election. When they are lying to the citizen, they have not implemented what they have said they will do to stop war. The war has not been stopped. The economic crisis is still ongoing and is getting worse. More citizens, as Ustaz Abdullah have said, has said, they are even leaving the country. The number of IDPs are still increasing in IDP camp. People are not coming out. So there is no hope in this Revitalized Peace Agreement except election. And if election is really fair and free, done under the UN supervision, that could be the only hope. So the citizen may have a say. But the way the president has designed election to go, it is the SPLM-IG that is only campaigning. And if you want to register your political party to contest with President Kiir or Dr. Riek Machar, if we go now, we UCC will find somebody has registered a party with the name UCC. And this was done against the Red Army, the NDA, the National Democratic Alliance. There was no party called National Democratic Alliance in South Sudan. And those of Red Army want to register National Democratic Party. When they went to Juba to register it, the National Security and President Kiir made sure that somebody has already taken the name. So they have now to look for a new name. So by the time we go, Jonkor, who want to register UCC to contest with President Kiir, or want to register concerned citizen, you will find they have already registered that name. They will block you from using the name again. By the time Edward Achek goes, or Real SPLM goes there, they will find that there is another Real SPLM registered as a political party, and you will not get that name. And they have increased the number of members in each state that we should get to have a political party. And they have banned any other political activities. Only them can make political rallies with the public oil money.
Yep.
Thank you. This is where we are. This is why we say we in UCC, we are not going to be part of this crime against this generation and the unborn children of South Sudan.
Yes. Well, أستاذ موسى أدوارد، أستاذ عبد الله قرن، كنتم معنا هنا في كنسات سيدنا بتاع وصلون عبر فيسبوك. نحن من هنا نحن نختم، هنا وصلنا لنهاية الحلقة في فيسبوك، ولكن we will transition to Clubhouse لنواصل ما تبقى هناك. تكلمنا عن شابتر الثالث اللي هو هنا الجزء الثالث والجزء الرابع. والجزء الثالث كان بيتكلم عن humanitarian assistance، وعملنا examine وشفنا تقرير هل الحكومة فعلا نفذت البنود دي. and you said أستاذ عبد الله it was zero، يعني ما في أي حاجة تم تنفيذها. مواطنين لسه في يونميز، مواطنين لسه في المخيمات في دول الجوار، الوضع الاقتصادي متأزم، ما في إغاثة للشعب والناس تعبانة، ما في وضع الأمني المتيهة زي ما قالوا، أجواء مواتية لممارسة العمل السياسي غير موجود. إيفن أعضاء بتاع حركة IO دائما بيتم انتقالها. إذا ما في أي حاجة نفذ خالص في شابتر 3. بنفس القدر يعني طلعنا على الشابتر 4 مع أستاذ an economist موسى زدوت، وهنا شفنا حتى بنكي South Sudan Central Bank is not an independent. He is controlled by J1. So nothing has been implemented really. And this government, the only thing that they have done is just to share the positions. And that's it. That's what they have done so far. They share the position. You get your fair share and I get my fair share, and nothing for the citizen of South Sudan. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being always here on Concerned Citizen of South Sudan. And directed with Fanan Jadid اسمه Magai. Look, it's a good song. I know.
قبل ما تختم يا استاذ جنكور، عندنا نقول للمشاهدين بتاعنا سيدي كونسيرن سيزون اوف ساوث سودان. طبعا الهدف من الكلام ده اللي قاعد نعمل evaluation peace agreement هو عشان نقول للمواطن ان احنا واقفين وين، لانه الخيار ده فشل، وفي تاني زيادة 2 لتمديد عشان ينفذوا ما تبقى من اتفاقية السلام 66 بند، باقي 57 بند لسه لم يتم تنفيذه. إذا كان الحكومة خلال ال3 سنوات الأربعة ولا 4 سنوات اللي فاتت هي فقط نفذت يعني 7 بنود فقط.
نعم.
فهل الحكومة تستطيع أن تنفذ بقية البنود 57 بند في 2 ما أظن. الكلام اللي احنا قاعدين نقول هنا عشان المواطن يعرف تماما إنه ما في أمل من هذا أو من ما يسمى باتفاق السلام، حتى من extension the more 2 years. There is no hope on these 2 years because I don't think so. All those agenda which will not implement it in 4 years. In 4 years, they only implemented 7, only 7. And then now we have like 57 left.
And this is only in one chapter, Ustaz Abdullah, chapter 4 was.
Only in one chapter. So I think this government they're just wasting the time of our people.
They are not serious. They are just buying time, Ustaz Abdul. In every chapter, in chapter 3 that you have done, they have only implemented 2 out of.
Yes. So now, what is the way forward? هل أنا هنكونوا قاعدين كده؟
Say out of 29 of chapter 3, only 2 implemented activities. These activities are what translate the theory, what is in the paper, into practical projects, into implementation. So in each chapter, from chapter 1 to chapter 8, you find that most of the activities that should be implemented as per the metrics of the agreement are not being implemented. Even if you give them another 10 years, Comrade Jonkor and Ustaz Abdallah, they will never implement this.
You're right.
All they will do is just to continue to enrich themselves and loot people and make sure that if they cannot buy you with money, they will kill you. That's it.
Yeah, they will not do nothing.
Establish dictatorship.
Yes. They were not going to do nothing in 2 years. I am very surprised. The government of South Sudan, they don't pay salaries. And then they go and borrow more money from outside. So where is the money of oil revenue? Where is this money are going? If the government, they don't pay salaries and it still bring more money from outside, even some construction that been done in South Sudan, like new bridge between Juba and Gumba Shirkat was just a gift from Japan. Only maybe the road of Jonglei from Juba, maybe, or Barkazal. So our people, they have to wake up and go to street. That's the only way I can see. There is no any other way, because the 2 years in extensions will not help, will not solve the problems, will not do nothing for us, and we are not ready to President Kiir to win the election and stay more 5 years or 7 years or 10 years, or to stay in the power until he died. We will not gonna wait for that. So now we are bringing all these details to our people here in social media to know where we are, and we must find other way. We will not gonna stay like this. So United Citizens for Change, we still with non-violent revolution to bring change in South Sudan. That is the only way. So don't forget this, non-violent revolution. That is your homework, our peoples, brothers in South Sudan and who are outside. We have to help our people back. We have to work together to make better in our country, because that is very simple for us. If you go to the numbers of refugees people in the world, you can find South Sudanese in corruption, South Sudanese, everything's bad, South Sudanese, and we have revenues. We are not poor. We are not poor country that born without any incomes. We have, the government is saying we produce 155,000 barrels a day from the oil. We are not poor, but the government in the power is using the money in their self, in their, for their families, build a very expensive house outside. They do corruptions with with other countries, with like neighbors. Because 3 months ago, I heard that when Muhammad Hamdan came to Sudan, it took huge number of money. For what? Nobody knows. Every month, South Sudanese, they go to Dubai. They take cash money, dollars from South Sudan to Dubai. They take cash dollar from South Sudan to Uganda, Kenya, and everywhere. So our people, brothers, sisters, we have to get another way. And another way, like we see in United States for Change, now you see in Rome, that peace agreement is not going anywhere anymore. So the only way we believe as United Citizens for Change is to go to street. God bless you. God bless South Sudan and Ramadan Kareem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear brother Ramadan Kareem. And we shall continue in Clubhouse after this. Thank you so much. Let me go ahead and bring that.
Will kapianu ngan yar pyo ngan bekaping lagi yalung do dong yar pyo long ban. Yar kudundi ge ina chol kediena del ka gubu kajan bi jam na piondu. Yar kudundi ge ina chol kediena del ka gubu kajan bi jam na piondu. Elle lagan na char nyar pinyom dure kama injenyan makongwan. Bali pyo pingu pungulwel nyariu. Inganyara bukir yalla kulmechi. Bali pyo pingu pungulwel nyariu. Inganyara bukir yalla kulmechi. Wengi pyo nuka beni lweli pinyom.